Hey guys, I'm going to share a link to David Benjamin's video in the description box below. And the video reminded me of a poem I wrote back in 2003. And it's called God's Road. So let me go ahead and start reading it. The destination isn't the same as the journey required to get there. To endure this difficult race, I've still more hardships to face. In retrospect, it was God bringing me to the end of myself, okay? Though this road I'm traveling on has bends, curves, and dents, whenever I've stumbled, God's been there to pick me up again. All of the ups and downs of from where I was to where I am now in identification trees. God has been using all of the various hardships to show me my need for Him and to bring me to the end of myself. As He guides me on the path that He's ordained for me, He tells me only what I need, and through His eyes I see that before I take a step, He says no more, He says no less. That's His sovereign way of showing me to walk by faith. It's all about having the vision. It's all about looking to a hidden city whose builder and maker is God. Everybody's journey to identification trees is going to look different. Everybody's journey to be brought to the end of themselves is different. Little did I know when I wrote this back in 2003, it was rather, in retrospect, in light of identification truths, it was a bit prophetic, actually, as to what God was going to do. And we won't arrive. We're not going to ever be able to say that we have arrived, Excuse me. It's going to take an eternity for us to know more Jesus more and more and more. We'll never stop learning the immeasurable riches that we have in Christ. So God never gives me the whole picture. If He did, there would be no need for faith. If He tells me to do something, He may not tell me why. He does this to keep me on my toes. He does this to remind me that in everything I must have faith. I will not always know the answers. God knows this, and I must realize that this is where my faith comes in. That's what faith is, walking in obedience with God, even when it doesn't make sense to me. Now, in light of identification trees, what is obedience? Obedience is believing the gospel. Okay, so the milk of the word is the gospel, how you get saved, right? Justification by faith alone, through grace alone, in Christ alone. Okay, that's the milk. Now, the meat of the word is God peeling back the layers, layer upon layer of deeper and deeper layers of truths of the implications of what Jesus accomplished for us on the cross, according to the scriptures, has done for us, means what it means according to the scriptures, and how it applies to identification truths. Okay, that's the meat of the word. I only have to read through Hebrews 11 to be reminded of this, of by faith. I have to go through the here before I can get to the there. Does that make sense? So any hardships God is using right now to bring me further and further to the end of myself, to cause my outer man to be under more and more pressure, to where it cracks more and more and more, so that alabaster box in my inner man can start pouring forth the fragrance of Christ more and more and more. God is using all that for His glory. That is why a destination God reveals to me is not the same as His actually getting me there. So it's all about Christ wearing out our inner man. It's all about the road to the end of ourselves. Once we get saved, we start on this journey of, and it's different for everyone. It was Abraham's journey was different than David's journey when he was under the law, but it was still by faith, and it was still them being brought to the end of themselves. Regardless of whether it was under law or not, it was about them being on their road, so to speak, their individual journey with God, being brought to the end of themselves, where God could finally glorify himself through them, and that they could take no credit for it. All right, guys, be blessed.